But where there is confusion, there's going to be tons of failure. We were confused about business. We had no idea. But our bond was so strong, and that's probably what happened with you two guys, that the bond is so strong that then it keeps us together. And one thing is the honesty. Because if I screw up and I tell him, then that helps.
Yeah.
And if he screw up and he tells me, then that helps. Now, if I screw something up, which I have done many, many times, if I would have hid it from him, if I would have hid something, then it would be on his head because he would have find out.
Mm-hmm.
So now what is he hiding from me?
Yeah.
And that creates a distrust.
Welcome world, welcome family to another episode of the EL2A Podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Gilmore Jr. To right of me, I got Mr. Military Man is not here, but we got the Rocket, Mr. Eddie Rock. How you feeling today, brother?
I feel better. I thought you were gonna call me Mr. Military. I'm doing good.
Military Man is on an assignment. He's not here today. He's out in the field, so we give him our blessings to not be here today. All right, to the right of him, we got a very special guest, Mr. Dr. Alberto Rullan. How you doing today, brother?
Excellent. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you here, brother. One thing I do want to say, just publicly, I want to thank you for the experience that you allowed us this summer. For those of you that don't know, we were able to go to Epic, and it was very epic. It's an epic facility. It's a beautiful facility you have there. But Equine Performance Innovative Center, man, you guys do great work. And just to see, so I was an athlete, if you don't know my background.
Yes, sir.
So I was a Division I athlete, and seeing that horses get the same treatment that I have, like, it was mind-blowing to see. So it was great to see and to be able to expose our young man to the work that you do. So I appreciate you for that.
Absolutely. That was amazing. Yeah, that was Epic is about.
Yeah.
To bring horses back to full athletic performance and helping your kids and seeing them so interested on what we have to do and what we have to offer. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing experience.
Appreciate you again. But so what we're going to do before we get started, I need y'all to stop. You see my shirt, all right? It's February. It's Black History Month, all right? So we got these special edition, limited edition Black History Month shirts on sale right now. We'll put the link in the description. You can tap the link and make sure you get one of these nice shirts so you can look nice like me. All right. So I know you guys a lot of people, Dr. Rullan, gonna have a lot of his friends that's gonna watch this episode. Hey guys, go ahead and buy one of these shirts, man. The support, it means a lot. Another way you can support, you can buy a shirt and you also smash that like button. Smash the like button on this video and also subscribe to our channel. All right. We're on a chase to 1,000 subscribers right now. I think we got about 14 more left, maybe 15, 20, whatever it is. 1,000 subscribers, you can help us reach our goal. Please, thank you. All right, so we're going to get into the story, man. Let's get into it. Dr. Alberto Rullan. All right, so I've done my research. I'll let you know that now. I've done my research.
Great.
All right, and I figured out
that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing. I figured out you were born in the mountains, not just just anywhere in Puerto Rico, in the mountains of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
All right, so a person that was born in the mountains of Puerto Rico, one thing that I can think about is maybe not a lot of resources, not a lot going on. There's a lot of, things that can only go on up in the mountains. Yeah. But I see you now and I know who you are. And when I see a successful person, there has to be a solid foundation, something that a person comes from that allowed them to be who they are.
Yeah.
So I want you to take me back to your roots in Puerto Rico. Tell me about your foundation and how did that help you to be who you are today?
Oh, I haven't done that in a while, but foundation, where was I born? I want you to imagine a mountain, and I want you to imagine a little valley between the mountains around it. So in the valley is where we call it the city, although it's no more than, I don't know, a couple thousand people, right? And then in the outskirts is the mountain, the people that live out of agriculture. They do produce oranges, banana, plantains, some cows, some horses, and they live out of agriculture. I still have memory my memory is pretty good. I gotta let you know, I have a photographic memory of all my childhood. It's crazy. Sometimes I tell my mom things and she's like, how do you remember that? Yeah. So the very first house that we had was I don't know if you know what I mean when I say zinc house. It was a metal house. There was dirt floor. So there was I still remember to this time, there was no concrete.
So your floor was
the floor was dirt in some of the rooms.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't live there too long because my dad, and here's where the foundation goes, was a very hard worker. So extremely hard worker. So he got out of it very quickly, and then we moved on to a better house where we still work at the farm, and then that's where I learned my work ethic. Right, my dad would get up at 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning every morning. My grandpa used to get up at 3 in the morning every day, and that's where I learned that if you want to succeed, you always have to beat the sun.
Yeah.
Right. Then we work in agriculture, so every day we would go and pick up coffee, pick up oranges, pick up bananas, plantains, and many times before we go to school, I had to go to the what's called the farmers market, and in the weekends I would go to the farmers market with my dad many times and sell the produces, and then get back to work or go to school. So that's how the working foundation came from.
For sure. And that gives a lot of context, because we always think about, when you think about stories, so me hearing you say you grew up in some floors and your house was dirt, that to me, I can't even make sense out of it. You know what I mean? Things like that. And even in the work we do, we deal with a lot of young people that come from different experiences, traumatic experiences, things that you have a decision in life. You're either going to let it catapult you or you're going to let it hold you back. And even for yourself, I know there was a traumatic experience that you dealt with as a young man. So you fell in love with horses at a young age, and from the story that I've heard, something very, very bad happened to one of your horses. Can you talk a little more about that?
So horses are my friend. I grew up with horses, like I tell you, my whole life. Every memory that I have, there's a horse involved. No matter where the memory is, when I was a child, I had a horse by my side. And my dad used to train horses. I used to train horses since I was like 4 or 5 years old. I would get up with him. I would come from school and train horses with him. So I remember this one day I was coming from school, and we always arrive at my grandma's house. And I came from school, got off the school bus, and my grandma was crying, hysterical. Oh, Alberto. She was like, she couldn't look at me. Your dad was riding your horse, and they got hit by a truck. And that completely changed my life right there, that moment. And I say, at the moment, horses were my life. This horse was my life. This horse, I knew this horse since I was born. And I said, what happened to my horse? So she said, he has a broken leg, and we are waiting for someone to help. Well, the next day I found out that my horse had to be put to sleep. 24 hours he spent in pain from a broken leg because there was no one veterinarian in town. So that day, at that moment, I made the decision I have to become a vet that worked with horses' legs. Yeah. And that's what paved, after that, everything I did was towards becoming a vet for horses.
Yeah, man, that's turning your pain into your passion. You know what I mean? Turning your passion into how am I trying to say it? It's the way you say it. It's like you're kind of you turning your pain into purpose. There you go.
Pain became purpose.
Right. Pain became purpose. Right. So in that moment, when you're thinking about not having the lack of, at 8 years old, you knew, you said right then and there that I'm going to be a vet.
Yeah.
And you made that decision in that moment.
Yeah.
You were able to see it through. All right. So coming from somebody like, and let's paint the story. So you're in Puerto Rico at this time. All right. And you said in your areas, there's no vet. A lot of the work we do.
There's still no vet. In my town, there's no vet.
But think about it. Think about this. So the work we came into that we do, it comes from exposure is a key word that we do. Like you only know what you know.
Yeah.
So in a situation where you didn't see this, you say that you want to be it. Kind of what we did. We said this wasn't here, so we're gonna create an organization that exposes young man because they don't see the things that are around. So but yours was a little harder though, because you're coming from Puerto Rico, now you got to go to America to make your dreams become true. Yeah. All right, so talk about that. And 8 years old, how was from that point? How were you able to get here and make this thing happen?
I'm not sure if my dad and my mom really believed that I was going to be a vet because there was no vet school in Puerto Rico.
Right.
So they're like, how is he going to go to vet? He needs to go to out of state. But I kept very passionate about it. And at the age of 12, I was already bugging them, finding veterinarians that I could go and shadow and be at the racetrack or anywhere I had to be. I make them take me. Hey, I want to shadow with that vet. I want to be spending time with them. So then later on, we find out, hey, this guy is serious about it. He's going to have to leave the country. But the interesting thing is that around 16, now I was like, okay, this is super serious. This is what I want to do. And I realized I didn't speak any English. I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anybody in the United States. So I had to then now get serious about it and start figuring out how the heck am I going to come to the States. And I was 16 already. I was more mature. And I knew back then there was no internet to Google or anything. So I started applying. I started sending letters to a bunch of schools in the United States. And they were, oh my God, they were replying to me.
Yes. So
And I was seeing the magazines, and I was seeing they would send you like a folder with all the information. I felt like I was in already.
yeah.
So by seeing it, I felt like I was already at vet school, which was, I can visualize it.
For sure.
And then I kept my dad and my mom. I bet you that at that moment they were like, yeah, this guy's crazy. That's not happening.
Yeah.
I just kept pushing and pushing, and we didn't have much money. But I was really good at math. I was horrible at English, but I kept taking the test, and I did everything. My mom, my dad, they didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
They had no idea I was going through the process.
Yeah.
I would tell them, I would inform them, but they were like, yeah, whatever,
Yeah. What was the hardest part of that transition? So, because there's somebody right now that's saying,
Yeah.
okay, I want to do X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
but I don't have money.
Yeah.
I can't do this. I can't.
or I don't speak the language.
I don't speak the language. Like there are barriers before them doing it. In their mind, they're like, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
But there was something in you that allowed you to push through. So what was the hardest part of the transition, and what was that allowed you to go forward?
The thing is that at that I never saw barriers. I never saw barriers. I actually never saw barriers until I was an adult, and people started telling me, you cannot do that, you cannot do that, you cannot do that. All right?
Right.
So it's the adult conditioning that got to me later on that started telling me, you cannot do that, you cannot do that. When I was a kid, you're like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So some kids, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a scientist, right?
Right.
That's when you're a kid. But as you grow, then the adults start telling you, you cannot do this because of this. You cannot do that because of that. So they start transferring their failures to you as a kid.
Mhm.
And when they were transferring their failures towards me, which I remember so many of them, especially in high school, when the kids were like, how can you go to the United States? How can you go there? You don't even speak English.
Right.
Oh my God, when I got that acceptance letter, I was so happy to hear it. You told me I couldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
So I was mean.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it was the purpose was so big that I wouldn't accept anything else. And there's something that some authors talk, like John Maxwell, for example. He talks about what's called a belief lead, right? Belief. You are limited to your belief.
I don't.
If you don't believe that you're going to do something, I'm sure you're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can condition yourself and raise that belief, because I'm going to tell you, sometimes I remember having this conversation with my dad when I was about 17, maybe, and he's a farmer, so he obviously wanted, what a farmer's son wants is to help at the farm, which I did all my whole life, and even the weekends, and I still go and help when I travel, right? Mm-hmm. But I told him, hey, I really want to do this. And he's like, well, there are no vet schools over there, but you can be an engineer and help here. You can be a farmer, take over the farm. You know, they still want you to accommodate.
Yeah.
And their belief is it gets passed to you. So if your purpose is not strong enough, then you adopt someone else's belief.
Yeah, the purpose is the big thing you said. That story that you just told, it made me think about. So the same thing you see what I have on today. So in our summer program, we did something cool where we had our young boys sell T-shirts. We were like, okay, this is your business. You sell the T-shirts. They came up with the concept. They went and did the design. They went and did everything about the business. We put a price to the T-shirt, and it was like $40 or something like that. And one of our boys left. They were like hyped up.
Yeah,
let's go, $40. Like, we're going to do it. One of our boys went home and came back the next day, and he looked at me. He said, Mr. Jamie, I don't think we should sell shirts for $40.
Someone told him.
Somebody said, people say ain't nobody going to buy that. And it killed him. Like, he came back and turned around. He was done with it.
And it wasn't just somebody. It was somebody in his family.
It's his mom.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It was that killed his dreams, and it turned it. And so what we're saying is purpose. And we're going to come back to that, because purpose drives results. That's number one.
100%.
And another thing you talked about is, I know I've heard you talked about, is taking responsibility for your own life. No one is going to save you.
100%.
And that's what I hear you saying right now. So what allowed you to have that mentality as well, that, that I'm going to take control over my life. I'm going to the U.S.
Yeah.
Just because I can't talk English, just because I can't do this, I don't care about that. I'm going over there and I'm going to make it happen. Where that come from?
And that is, you see, when I imagine my friend, because bear in mind that it was not my horse who died. It was my best friend, right? And there was nobody to help him. So now I have to figure out how am I going to help horses in that same situation. And this can relate to anybody, right? Anybody have lived through an experience, and how can I accomplish that purpose, and how can I let them that barrier, that how can this be possible? I couldn't accept failure, right? And in that case, it was a failure. Even though I was 8 years old, I was still. Now that I think about it, I was probably faced with failure for the first time, right? True failure of not being able to help my best friend, and that failure was so powerful that completely blinded me to any other barrier.
Yeah.
There's a problem though.
What's that?
There's a problem, and now that we are getting into this thing of purpose, ambition, and belief, it could also become a liability. Because once you establish that goal, okay, I'm a veterinarian, that actually became a liability for me, because once I became a veterinarian, I got stuck.
That was the goal.
I achieved my goal, and then I got stuck for several years, for many years, and then I deviated, right? You start getting into other things and other games that you shouldn't be getting into it. So that purpose and the goal should be very big.
Yeah, let's stay right there though, because even in that moment, that's most people. So I set out to do this since I was 8 years old, and now I get it. Now I'm making a little money. I was broke. I had dirt floors. Now I'm riding a little better. I'm eating a little better. I'm doing a lot of different things. I probably, I'm being able to do what I want. That brings complacency. That brings ego. That brings a lot of different things that can bring down empires.
Yep.
So how were you able to still feel that, get to that, like, okay, I'm at my goal, and be able to flip the switch back to, okay, this isn't where I end.
I didn't for a long time. I got into many troubles. I got into alcohol. I got into speeding. I got into a lot of other unethical actions that really kept me down for probably 10 or more years.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I was until I was in jail.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
and I was looking around, and I was like, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
Right? I don't belong here. I had a pregnant wife outside, desperate with a kid, the most supportive woman in the whole planet. Because I don't know, I probably would have. I don't know what most women would do, but they would consider leaving alone, right?
Yeah.
It's drowning in life. So she was a big support. And right after that, you need a support system.
For sure.
You definitely need a support system, because by myself, nothing. But then after that, she introduced me to, she found out, this is what's so cool about my wife. She found out the angle that I would take. And the angle that I would take at the moment is, it was business. So she covertly, smartly directed me towards business mentors. And these business mentors, I got along with them very, very well. And then she said, let's do this for a business, right? So we started working on the business aspect with those mentors. Because at that moment, still, I remember at this moment in rehab, then, there's rehab. I don't know, for those of you who've been in rehab, but you sit in a big circle, right?
Yeah.
You sit in a circle, and then they'll tell you, everybody start telling the things that they have done. And to this moment, I remember saying, but I have done nothing wrong. I've been drinking since I was 13.
Yeah.
I've been doing whatever since I was a kid. It's normal.
Oh.
So I was in such denial.
Yeah.
Huge denial. So even even on my denial, but I couldn't deny that the business statistics were not good. That's undeniable.
Yeah.
So that's a number that I could follow. So she got with me on that. And then I said, yeah, okay, I evaluate the stats. And then these business mentors say, hey, now that your business is starting to do good, you have to apply to your life. I said, well, my life is perfect. Yeah, I went to jail a little bit, but we got out.
Not bad.
My life is perfect. So, but then when you look at the statistics, the true statistics, you're either going up or you're going down.
Sure.
You just don't do that.
Man, a lot of women, a lot of numbers don't.
Right? So I said, okay, I do need help, and that help didn't imply psychiatrists, no. It did not imply psychologists, no. It implied getting on my own ethics, getting mentors, and growing personally.
Yeah.
And that's what eventually got me out, where now I've been 6 years without one drop of alcohol. Because even after jail, I went back and drank. Yeah, I still went back and drank, and I still drove drunk.
Yeah.
And I still did a bunch of other unethical stuff.
Yeah.
But for the last 6 years, we have found it took me that long to find one higher belief, so I could believe I could overcome whatever challenge I have, including the personal issues, right? And then second, believing that I could actually create something more than what that 8-year-old kid wanted to create, because the 8-year-old kid just wanted to 3 horses, and I did that perfectly fine. But I was stuck in there. So now I had to raise my belief.
It was more. So you said support. I love that. So
Big support.
So you say your wife did support you. She gave you some mentorship. So we're definitely going to get into the mentorship. But one thing I want to say that came to mind is team. Nobody can do it by themselves. Together each achieves more. What funny thing that's coming to mind, and it's kind of something similar that we have in contact. So you started your business with your brother.
Yeah.
I did the same thing as well.
Yeah.
So this is my big brother. I don't know if you know that, but so how you got started, the question I have, most people say don't do family with, mixed family and business.
Great question.
You know what I'm saying?
Great.
So that's a slippery slope. And I know some of the things that we encountered when we got into business together. So I kind of want you to touch on that, because when you're talking about working with your brother, it's a dream. It was like a dream of the curse type of thing, because you know each other. It's a tough slope. So talk about that. How's it been with starting and working with your brother?
I love talking about this, because the first thing that happened, ever since we were kids, we grew up together. We escaped our house. When I was 13, I was drinking when I was 13. And one day, my mom started yelling at me. She started screaming at me because she found out that I was drinking.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. And I got so upset that I say, I'm leaving. So I got up at midnight, grabbed my brother. He was 4 years younger than me. So he was 9. I was 13. We left. We slept on the street.
Wow.
So that's how tight my brother and I grew.
Yeah.
Since that age. And he didn't ask a question or nothing. He said, can I put some shoes? I said, yeah. That would be a good idea. So we slept in the street. And the only reason I came back because the police found us and they say, you have to go back. I said, well, I don't want to. And that was 13 years old.
Wow.
So after that, we were tight. We were very tight, which is an asset and a liability, right? Because now we know each other's bottom.
For sure.
And the biggest fights that I have had in my life has been with my brother. To this day, he's the only person that has broken a bone on me.
Whooped you, beat you up.
Put it that way, right? Then we're not going to get into the big details. He's 6'5", 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
So, but we had the same purpose, because he actually, when you start let's talk about a person, right? A person, I consider a person being a business. You are a business. Sure. And if you are a family, that's also a business.
For sure.
A business has goals, have purposes, has targets, have financials. They have everything a business will have. So the way we see it is that we wanted to have this, what we have today, and we always talk about it. And we always, because my dad was an alcoholic, and he was not there much later on in our life. My mom was working, trying to support the 2 kids, because she, to that point, after all that, she worked so hard that she wanted to put us in private school. And she somehow magically put us in private school. So she was working 2, 3 jobs. So my brother and I could be on private school.
Yeah.
And so technically she was absent. My dad was absent. They were divorced also. So him and I needed to create a team and a business, a bond. And even when I went to school in the States, he would come and visit me, and we would train together, so that when we finish, and this is the importance of long-term perspective, right? You do need to know where you're going. Because we knew we wanted to come to Ocala, the horse capital of the world. We knew we wanted to put a business here. So that kept us together and going and overcoming all the barriers that come with life. Then of course we started the business together, and that was horrible. We knew nothing about business. I was a vet, and he was my technician. We didn't know anything about finances, HR, getting paid. To that point, we thought that actually getting payment, sending an invoice, and people will send a check in 2008.
Yeah.
So we didn't know anything about financial planning. We didn't know anything about contracts, operating agreements. We had no idea.
Yeah.
We just knew that we were going to be together. But where there is confusion, there's going to be tons of failure. We were confused about business. We had no idea. But our bond was so strong, and that's probably what happened with you two guys, that the bond is so strong that then it keeps us together. And one thing is the honesty. Because if I screw up and I tell him, then that helps.
Yeah.
And if he screw up and he tells me, then that helps. Now, if I screw something up, which I have done many, many times, if I would have hid it from him, if I would have hid something, then it would be on his head, because he would have find out.
Mm-hmm.
So now what is he hiding from me?
Yeah.
And that creates a distrust. And the most important thing in a business or a family is trust.
For sure.
And what do you do for trust? Well, you tell always the truth, as hard as it is.
Yeah.
And as hard as it is, he has to hear this is the hard truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that has really kept us strong, because he knows my secrets, I know his secrets, and in business, in personal life, etc. And I believe that is one of the strongest things and creates the biggest bond.
Yeah.
When you trust each other.
Yeah. One thing you touched on, so you guys start. So you're thinking about two people that love something. When you love something, it can easily be a hobby. A lot of people get that mixed up, business and hobby. When you start off, so the origins, we're 5 years in, and we're still, growing at this point. But at the beginning, you're everything. You're the CFO, CEO, CE, you're everything.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get messed up in that when it comes, you know what I mean? I love this thing. I can make some money from it. But is it really a business? You know what I mean? And how you were able to flip, because I'm pretty sure you got stuck in there. You got two people that don't know what you're doing. How are you able to make it actually? Because what you have over there, that's a business. That's not no walk in the park, but you didn't start there. How are you able to get from that, it's a hobby, we love this, to now we're a real functional business that employs people?
I have so much to add to that, because the way I started is horses were my hobby, my escape. And then what I did is I made my hobby my work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem.
So.
Because now you're having something that you did for fun, and now you have to make it work for money.
Yeah.
That's trouble.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trouble, because you lose, there's something that gets lost. And that's what happened in my profession a lot. So what we do is, we actually have to try to find the new love. The new love, then the purpose is always the same, which is helping horses. And then what is the only way that you can help somebody or an industry or an entity or a group of people, the only way that you can do that is actually making a business out of it, creating value, and then be able to reinvest in that group, right? So the only way I was able to help horses was if I could actually create a business out of it and then add value to the horses. Because back in the day, I could do, the maximum I could do is 20 horses in one day, maybe 22.
And this is by yourself.
Right, by myself. But how about if I have a team of 20 employees?
Yeah.
Or 25 or 30 or 40 or 100. So then now I can help hundreds of animals in one day. So it's a perspective. It's changing the way that you think. And it's also, there's another thing. Being small is selfish.
Right on.
It's very selfish, because why would you stay so small and help such a small amount of people? Like in your area, you help kids. You help kids, right? So why would you just help 100 kids?
Right.
If you can help 1 million. So staying small is selfish. So if I got into that mentality, well, now I need to learn the intricacies, the complexities of, okay, how the heck do I scale? How do I do a business? And that's when it starts getting complicated, right? Because then you start getting into getting departments, getting structure, getting, first you wear so many hats. You're the financial department, the executive department, the marketing department, the internal promotion department,
System.
you are everything, right? But then you start developing those particular departments, and it takes a while before you realize, well, now I need to work on the business and leave the horses a little bit and start growing the business so they can help 1 million horses.
Would you say that was what I was going to ask? So when it came to scaling specifically for you, well, if you could pinpoint just one thing, again, for the person that's watching, one thing that this is one key thing that helped me scale my business, what would you say that is?
Finding the right person to help me.
Okay.
Yeah. Because so many of us, I don't know if you knew, but the veterinarians have one of the highest suicide rates and have one of the highest depression rates in profession. And it's one of the lowest paid profession.
Yeah.
Per years of study, is one of the lowest rate profession. So thinking that I was going to get out of that group by myself is a mistake. But most of us, that's what we think, that we can just figure it out. So finding the right person who can show me the way is the single most important thing that I've ever done. I love finding the right person too, because you mentioned mentorship. Yeah. Let's say your mentor, you love this mentor who is having a great life. He goes out to party. He has a great car. He has a great life. He plays Nintendo or video game all day. And that person is going to give you advice. Well, that person is never going to help you do something more than that person is doing.
Yeah.
As a kid, we might admire that person for a little bit, but that person is not going to be able to let me have a business, help 1 million people, become the person that eventually I want to become. So I see this many times, many times, where someone's trying to find a mentor, and let's put it in numbers. For example, you have a mentor. If you're trying to find a mentor right now, someone to help you out, let's say you're trying to find a person that, let's say you want to make $100,000 a year, and your mentor makes $50,000 a year. Is that mentor going to help you make 100,000? No, right? And the same thing, if you want to make 50,000 and your mentor is making 50,000, then he'll tell you the exact blueprint on how he did it. But he stopped there, right? So then now you need to find a mentor that can make 100.
Yeah.
And he tells you, okay, this is what I did, and you make 100. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to do what they did. And then the same thing with 1 million. Then the same thing with 2 million, 10 million, and you could go in the same thing. And that's how you find mentors. You find out what you want to be, and then you do it.
Yeah. Let's go dig a little deeper into that mentorship. So I always like to say, man, I had a mentor at each point of my life.
Correct.
To help me go where I needed to go. At the beginning of my life, my father was my mentor. Then I got into sports. I had one of the best high school coaches ever. Then I got into college. There was a guy there. I got to grad school. There was always a person there. Even now, I have multiple mentors that are helping me guide me in the position I am today. If you want to pinpoint, who are like some mentors in your life that really just changed the game for you? Like really took you to that next level? If you could pinpoint a couple of them.
A couple of them? Yeah. Absolutely. On believing what I could do, there's a guy named Grant Cardone. He told, when I started watching that guy, I was like, holy crap, there's so much I could do. Because he has a similar background with drugs and stuff like that. And then now he's a billionaire. And in terms of leadership, it's John Maxwell. John Maxwell is the absolute leader, best leader there is. And he tells you how to treat people. And in business, it'll be Brandon Dawson. When I put this together, and I can combine the business knowledge with one of them, the personal integrity of another one, and the leadership of the other one, then everything comes together. Because one by itself wouldn't probably fit everything that I needed.
Yeah.
Sometimes I read a book by John Maxwell. I say, wow, that's amazing. And then I do some courses with Brandon Dawson. Say, wow, that's amazing. And then I do some leadership stuff with John Maxwell, and then I do some personal stuff with Grant Cardone. I was like, that makes sense. So each of them is critical.
Yeah. I want to you deep to dive into them because those are some heavyweight guys. For the person that's watching that may, because they're gonna hear those names and they may want to dive a little deeper into those gentlemen. If you could give me one takeaway from all three of those, the top takeaways that you got from each three of those gentlemen, what would you say?
John Maxwell. We are people of value who always need to add value to others. You have to add value at all times. Any conversation that you have, any interaction you have to add value. From Brandon Dawson, you have to always deliver in business above and beyond the expectations. Always deliver above and beyond the expectation, including not just to your clients, but to your employees.
Yeah.
And don't forget that you're building a business for not just for you, but for your employees as well. Now that I learned that. And then Grant is like, if you are clean, if you have a clear conscience, a clear mind, you're untouchable.
Wow.
You're untouchable. No one can touch you. If your ethics are so good, it doesn't matter what you have done in the past, drugs, alcohol, unethical stuff, whatever you've done, but you have come clean and you have rehabilitated yourself and you have become a truly ethical person, you're untouchable, man.
I got a question. So I'm listening to the whole story and I was trying to find a spot to come in at, but at the beginning, you painted the picture of your work ethic and where that stemmed from.
Yeah.
How important was the relationship with your father? How important was your father and you becoming who you are?
Okay, that's a great question, and it's a really great question because it has to do with mentorship. My father was my idol. He was all the way until I realized that he couldn't mentor me anymore.
That's key right there. You about to go to that one. I know you about to cook with that one.
So I had a realization, and it was a very interesting realization because you talk about business family. Is when I proposed him a business that's going to make him a lot of money, was going to get him out of poverty. So I proposed him a business. I already have come from the United States. I have come to the United States, and I have learned a little bit of the trade. So I went back home and I say, hey, I have learned all this, and I have a business proposal, and this can get you out of all your troubles, and it will help me as well. And he couldn't see it. He really couldn't see it. He was more interested in his small farm, which was good, and his drinking, and in nothing else, right? So at that moment, I realized he cannot be my mentor anymore. But you were fantastic creating. I don't have to hate him for that, right?
Sure.
You were fantastic at giving me all these great things that were able to let me see further.
Yeah. So I only ask that because of course, what we do, a lot of the kids that we mentor, they don't have a dad, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's so much about the kids not having the dad that's the problem. It's more so of the dads not understanding how important they are to their kids and their upbringing. Yeah. Because even to that point, I mean, I have my biological dad. I sit and think about some of the things that I've seen over the years and some of the things that he's doing now. And it's like, to your point, it would have gotten to a point in my life where he wouldn't been able to mentor me or show me anything else in life. Yeah. but there was a foundation, and there was through your growing and your maturing over the years, you were able to figure out like, okay, well, I won't be able to understand and pick anything up from here anymore. So I can go get that outside of the family. I can go get that outside of the household. And I think that's where we as mentors, with what we do, even with the people that you come in contact with, because I'm sure that the people that you work with or that work for you, you still mentor them at some point.
Absolutely, 100%, every 2 weeks.
So when in trying to build that person up, or trying to build that, I'm speaking to the men and the young men at this point, trying to build them up. I just want them to understand that, as a father, there's vital roles. There's a vital role that you play, because there are a lot of young men that we come in encounter with. Or there are a lot of people that we see on outside of what we do that do not have a sense of no kind of work ethic. They don't understand how to get up at a certain time. If the rooster's crowing, they don't. That's not alarming to them. It's just certain things that they're not taught at an early age in life. So, like you say, now that transitioned you later on in life to where you get up early, but it started at a young age.
Yes.
And what I'm getting to is that you have these men that we make these kids, and we don't know how to raise these young men up, and it's doing us a disservice.
Well, let me. You touched so many points over there, but there's one point that I really want to touch you, because this is so important for young kids, young adults, even adults. It's so important to understand you are not your parents.
Sure.
Right? You are not your parents. You're not their personality. You don't have to live to their expectations, whether it's low or high. You are your own person. You are you. Right? You are your own person. And one of the sounds simple enough, but one of the decisions that we have to make as kids is that, okay, when do I detach from this figure mentorship and get more? Because you should always strive for more. You should always want to be higher than your mentor, right? Mm-hmm. And it could be at the age of 5. Hey, if the dad is not available at 5, at 6 or 7, or if it was a bad example, for example, like my dad was a horrible example for me in the personal life, in the ethics, and it was, but I followed him until probably about 6 years ago. I was living his legacy and his ethics, and I was doing all the wrong things that he did until about 6 years ago. But it wasn't until I realized, hey, I don't have to be that person. Mm. I can be my own person. And the same thing with prosperity. Hey, if you don't have to, I know it's so hard sometimes. I know, because I've been there, and it's so hard to think that you can do more than your mentor, or that you can need to find and switch and maybe follow somebody else that give you a better future, or a better life. But having said that, when you're embedded in that capsule, you don't know what a better future looks like. You really don't know.
Yeah, you got to find it.
You have to really find it,
and you've done that. So even with not knowing, like you say, following in your father's footsteps to a certain point in time. I heard you say you took a LeBron James approach.
What is it?
You put like $1 million into personal development, business development, just to become to what we're seeing. I don't know, but I need to know, and I have to go find it. Yeah. So how does a person like yourself, where does that thought process come from? Like you're saying, I can't get it from here, but I'm willing to spend $1 million
or more
into myself, or more into yourself. Like what made you make that decision? This is where I'm going.
Yeah, how did that happen? Because they got it fast.
Yeah.
First, it was there is a law. There is a unspoken law, and it's a law of exchange. That means that if you pay for something, then you should get some sort of exchange back. If you pay for something, you should get something back, right? Now, we all try, including myself, for the longest time, to get stuff for free,
Yeah.
right? We all try to get stuff for free. And I recently had a conversation with my realtor because he was willing to eat his commission on a house that I made a mistake. I made a bad investment. But I don't believe in that. I believe that there always have to be an exchange. So I said, it was my mistake. You do your job. You need to get paid for it. So I don't care if I lose the money because I'm responsible enough to know that it was my mistake. I don't want you to lose your commission because I made a mistake and now I'm not making any money and you want me to make money and you want to keep me as a client.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with this concept. I know that if I pay, if I flow out, because what is money in general? What is money? It's just energy.
Energy for sure.
Money is energy with some sort of value attached to it. Or a promise. Energy with a promise that you're going to get something back. That's what money is, right? So if you follow the laws of physics and you put energy out, you're going to get energy back.
Love that.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
So that's why I have never been hesitant to pay for a course, to pay for personal improvement, at the beginning will be $100, then $1,000. Then I recently gave $55,000 to Grant Cardone for the Cardone Foundation to help underprivileged kids to get business education.
Okay, let's stop right there. Everybody stop. Let's stop. Let's try that like he just didn't say what he just said.
You know?
So let's stop. It just you gave how much?
$55,000.
$55,000 to what?
To Grant Cardone to help young kids to get business education, to put business schools in suburbs of Baltimore and Miami, stuff like that.
So it's nice to say that $1 million that you put out, you've been getting it back.
Absolutely.
Good returners. You put it out there.
Yeah.
So I like the concept of that because we do live in a society where people are penny pitching in a sense. You know what I mean? Stuff go high. But you're saying that's not.
That was me. Yeah. It's a scarcity mentality. It's so sad.
Yeah.
It is so sad to live in a scarcity mentality because you think you're small. Like if you say you don't have any money, I don't have any money, you never have money. If you say I have COVID, you say it long enough, you're gonna get COVID.
Yeah.
Well, my mentor says you whatever you think is what you say, and what you say is what you do, and then what you do it will become what you're known for. That's what my mentor Brandon doesn't say, and that sticks with me all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it long enough, it's gonna happen. But it happens both ways.
Mindset. But you come from dirt floors. You come from dirt floors. So again, we deal with young people that come from all traumatic experiences that they can't fathom. How can I make them understand what you're telling me right now? Because I hear you, but for the person that's watching, like, okay, buddy, millionaire buddy, you have it. But you also came from dirt floors. How can you help a person that's dealing with, I can't just see that? How do you?
Oh, you just touch it. Some people say I have to see it to believe it.
For sure.
What I have learned is I have to believe it to then see it.
Talk to me.
Right?
Yeah. Talk to me. So then I believe. So you're telling the person that I believe. So that person that's watching, you're saying you have to believe it.
John Maxwell taught me you have to believe it first. Then you'll see it.
Mm.
But if you don't believe it, because of the negative influence of everybody else, because remember that society right now, everybody around you is just putting negative stuff anywhere. You cannot do this, you cannot do that. Plus, think about there's so much going on right now on telling you how you have to be poor. Being poor is cool. It's a fact.
Yeah.
FAD, it's a fact, right?
Yeah.
And that sucks. Because when I was poor, I was cool. When I had a little bit of money, then I'm not the cool person anymore. Right?
Yeah.
You look down upon. Because what is the media proposing all the time? The media is proposing that the government should help. The government should help. people, oh my goodness, I declared poverty for the first 10 years of my, after I was a vet and I declared poverty. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. One thing I'm thinking about is just, go ahead.
But yeah, but the reason I'm telling you is because you have to believe it and then see it. You have to believe it and then see it. And don't believe what other people are telling you. Just don't believe it. Just find out who you want to be. I mean, if you're into sports and you want to be LeBron James, then figure out what LeBron James did to be where he is and follow his steps. Find out the night, not at the bar, but at the court, on the basketball court.
Yeah.
Find out the early mornings, the sacrifices that he did for his family, the birthdays that he missed with his kid because he was playing, all the traveling that he had done. Find a person, whoever that person you want to be, and then do exactly what they did.
Yeah. What you're talking about, visualization. When I was an athlete, I used to literally, before the games, I would visualize what I was going to do the next day. Like I would actually see, right? Even now, some people may ask me, like, what you're doing today, does it surprise you? And I'm like, no, I already seen this. Like, I already lived in this stuff. It actually makes me upset because I'm not to where the vision I've seen is so far here where we at. I get mad because I think I should be where I should be, or, what the vision I've seen. So for yourself, my question is you, does it surprise you to where you're at today?
No, it doesn't. Not sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I draw, believe it or not, I was about 19 years old and I draw and I cannot find it to save my life, but I've been looking for it. I moved so much. I moved probably more than 20 times. So I lost somewhere there.
Yeah.
I lost my drawing of the farm that I wanted. And the paddocks and all that is scary. But if I find that picture, I promise you it looks just like the farm we have right now.
Wow.
And I couldn't be more than 18, 19 years old. But why it doesn't surprise? It doesn't surprise because for the last, since 2000, for the last 20 years, all I have done from morning to afternoon is invest somehow, one way or the other, mentally or physically or economically. I have invested in the future. So this is not it for us. We still have to figure out how to help 1 million horses, right?
Yeah.
So for me, you ask me, it's funny that you tell all these things about me because I don't feel it. Actually, I feel like a little failure sometimes because I'm so far from where I want to be. Like, honestly, I sit sometimes I'm writing my goals at night. I'm like, am I ever going to do what I want to do?
Yeah.
And it feels like a little bit like a failure. It doesn't feel like success, to be honest.
Yeah. And you say 1 million horses, so you threw that in a little bit. So you got a goal of 1 million horses. That's a big goal.
That's a crazy goal.
That's a crazy goal. So a lot of people are terrified to even set out to set goals that courageous. What is it about you, and why do you think others should set big goals?
So we should be tired of average being okay. We should be exhausted of being average. You remember when I was in school? I remember being in school, and the typical kids were like, "Oh, I got C, I'm cool." Right? I got average, I'm cool, I'm average. That's horrible.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how horrible that was until this is average for me. This was average. My mom was average, relatively good job, paying for me to go to private school, which, by the way, was like $100 a month, but that was still a whole lot, right? And she was average, and then she retired because everybody wants to retire, right? And she was never really able to enjoy prosperity. She ended up actually digressing in life, getting sick, and now she doesn't remember anything that she did. If she would have actually embraced and not being average, then she would have had prosperity early on, and she would have been able to afford some time ago, whatever treatment she would have wanted to get and get better.
Sure.
But she lived average all her life, and now and then she decided not to create enough wealth that she could say, yeah, let's pay for whatever treatment of my disease I want to get.
Yeah.
My dad was average. He was an average farmer, and little less than average farmer. And he was happy and content with what he did. And now he's in poverty. Right? He's in food stamps. So what does average get you? He's always going to get you nothing.
It's so to hear the story, and like, I don't, if you just tuning in, I think they should go all the way back to the dirt floor. Like, honestly, because even from having the dirt floors to your best friend, the horse, getting hit and then having to been put down, then even hearing that you landed as you were older, you landed up in jail. That was a point in life where you could have, all those points in your life could have been like, all right, I don't want to do this at all.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to strive for more. I don't want to strive for greatness. I don't want better for myself. I don't want better for my family. But you defeated the odds. And I think a lot of people, when they are faced with adversity, bro, they simply give up. They don't see the bigger picture. They don't strive for that goal. They don't strive for the million horses to help out, and they don't do that. They try to be average, and I think that's where they're doing themselves and the community and the young men and everybody that's involved with the average mentality. They're doing themselves a disservice. But your story clearly paints the picture of somebody that truly believes, somebody that wants something better for themselves. You can really be successful.
I don't think about quitting.
Sure.
Oh my God,
That's a misconception of someone that like a high level person like yourself.
I think about quitting. I swear, you cannot count times that I have thought about quitting. And have serious conversations with my brother. This is it. Or with my wife. This is it. We're done. Like, our marriage is over. I'm quitting our marriage, or we're divorcing, or I am done with this business, or I just want to quit. So
What keeps you going?
Huh?
What keeps you going in those moments when you want to quit?
Well, it depends who I'm telling it to. Right? If most of the time we have these conversations with ourselves, let's be honest. Most of the time this conversation with ourselves, and it's in a hole. We're in this hole, with this dark hole, 3 a.m, 4 a.m, and what keeps me going then is thinking, and today what keeps me going is my family, right? My family and my purpose. If I quit right now, what's my kid gonna learn? What is my kid gonna say about me? That's one. Then how about that big goal? Who's gonna achieve that goal? Then it's gonna be somebody else, right? And then my employees. We have many families that depend on us, and that we have to help reach their personal, professional, and financial goal. Because our Epic and Performance Equine, American Panama Hospital, the businesses that we have, what we do is help our employees reach their personal, professional, and financial goals. So now we're talking about 40, 50 families that we are leaving behind, and plus our own kids. So there's so many people that we are going. Now we're too deep. We're too deep to left so many people. It would be so easy to quit, though.
Yeah,
it'd be so easy. You could just I could quit right now and be average the rest of my life.
Yeah. It's kind of this average talk. So our mission at Cut Different is to guide young men to own their greatness.
Yeah.
All right. So we understand that God created us all to be great. But greatness looks different for each and every one of us.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get mixed up in that. They start chasing what greatness looks like for other person except themselves. That's what leads them to be average.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? So you were able to figure out that my greatness is within the equine space, and you chase that. And you've created a center here that's nobody else does it here, or probably the best. You got like the best in the world. So you were able to identify your greatness. A couple things come to mind within this, but I'm going to take it this way. We talked about being great. We talked about mentorship. One thing that comes to my mind, and selfishly, I'm going to ask you this question. when I think about one of my boys, I ain't paid him $55,000, but I believe he's my mentor. I watch all this stuff. Is Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Nick Saban is one of the greatest coaches to ever touch dirt, and I love Nick Saban. I watch a lot of stuff he's done. Nick Saban's created a culture of excellence, and once you come to Nick Saban's door, he doesn't promise you that you're gonna win a championship, but if you go to Alabama, you're gonna win a championship. But he does promise you that he's gonna make you a better player. That's what he promises. Is when you walk through your door, he doesn't say sell his kids on, hey, come to my school, you're gonna win a championship. He said, no, you're gonna leave here better than what you came. And that's created a culture of excellence. So I want to get into the culture selfishly. You built yourself. You spend all this money into yourself, pour into yourself. When it comes into building that culture, how do you go about giving what you have, the expertise that you have, and instilling that into your team around you?
First, let me talk about Nick Saban, because one of the things that Grant Cardone shows us is we have to write our goals twice a day, in the morning and in the evening before going to bed. And I love that you say that, because in my goals, I used to write dominate the industry like Nick Saban dominates football.
Yeah.
That was what I used to write, because the guy dominates, right? So the culture is done by creating value. And it wasn't until I understood that my business is not for me, but for others. That leadership is to add value to others, not to add value to my bank account or to add value to my wife's bank account. It's to add value to others. So it wasn't until I really internalized that, because you can fake that. I used to fake it. I used to fake like I care, right? But it's not until you actually truly do it. Like, I truly care about every one of my employees. And I truly care that they get better and they accomplish their goals. And when I'm adding value to them, they also see it. And what do they want to do is energy. What do you want to do if I give you a lot of energy? You're going to give me a lot of energy. Yeah. So it becomes this beautiful cycle that becomes a culture.
Yeah.
And it's a culture full of love, right? Hard work, good ethics, and love.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing. Not sure. It's a very difficult thing to create, maintain, and then you have to perpetuate it.
Yeah.
It's almost a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's a full-time job, because you have to purposefully, John Michael says, intentionally add value to people.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that I do that, and then I have to teach it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to teach my leaders to care enough about their juniors as I care about the juniors. And that becomes very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And then as everybody goes up, then they need to keep passing that down.
I love that. How much time are you spending pouring into, when you say like your leaders, for example? Because I guess if it's from you got your leaders, how much time do you spend pouring into them?
Well, let me give you an idea. I spend every Wednesday morning, I purely teach, we meet to only talk about to learn about our professional life. Every Thursday evening, I dedicate my life to teach to them every Thursday. Every morning, we have a meeting. And every 2 weeks, I spend 30 minutes personally with them, one-on-one, just talking about their reaching the personal, professional, financial goals. That's just on a weekly basis. Wow. Then after that, every day, any other meeting on top of that. So which is probably, every Tuesday, we have another 1 hour meeting just for them. Wow. So it's a lot of, it's almost a full-time job.
Sure. I love that. One thing that comes to mind too is as we, get into a close, principles. You got to have principles in your life. You have to have something that guides you and governs your thoughts and your decisions and your actions. For myself, you know what I mean? I'm a man of faith. You know what I mean? I know I have a higher power. I believe in God, Jesus Christ. He died for our sins, and he allows me to be who I am today. For yourself, as the man that has to make a lot of decisions each and every day, what guides your decision making?
Thank you for the question. Great question. My wife and me sat down one day and we decided we're going to have 6 core values. And those core values are going to perpetuate through all our life, kids, employees, and all that. Those core values should be inspiration, results, discipline, alignment, impact, and accountability. Those are the core values. We hire, we fire, we live, we breathe, we do everything based on those 6 core values.
And those six over, that was just you. Like they put everything. Yeah, right. Think about it. Right too. So and I love that. But who holds you? You hold yourself accountable to those.
We all hold each other accountable. Okay. You have to find people, and you have to be surrounded by a group of people. Because you know how many times I want to deviate from those core values, right? But then you have my wife, and then I have the kids. The kids are the best. The kids are the best at holding core values. Kids are naturally ethical, moral, human individuals. That's what kids are.
Yeah.
So they're awesome to keep you to the core values, because you tell them, hey, you watch me when I'm not exhibiting these core values, and they'll, hey.
All that.
That's not within the core values.
I like it.
So everybody,
man, I like it. So one thing I think I got to make out too before I close, but one thing I was thinking about, so you work with horses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was an athlete, and I know that close relationship is being injured and how much time I have to spend in the training room. And being getting back in the recovery process. So I'm pretty sure that process, you're building bonds with a lot of these horses. What is one of the biggest lessons you've learned from working with horses?
never give up. Never give up. You could see, I've seen horses with shattered legs that in the past they would have been put down, and we have put the energy and the effort on those animals, and they live, and they go, and some of them they go back and perform, and they come back. And you see as an athlete, you can relate to this probably, because the competitive spirit, it's almost if you give up on them, it's like you're letting them down, and they actually are not achieving their purpose of being a professional athlete.
Yeah.
So never giving up.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest.
You're helping horses fulfill their purpose.
And when you say that, like I envision, or I seen conversation I had last night, and it's I tell them all the time, we have some boys that are knuckleheads, and we have some that most would give up on them. But what you just said, like that's just what it is. No matter what, you can't, because I truly feel that in that moment that you do give up on that kid or that, now we, in I guess when you're looking at it in the hindsight, it's like, okay, now somebody they're going to be put down, and not put down to where they in their life, but behind bars or on the streets or something.
In your line of work is much worse than in my line of work. In your line of work, a human life depends on it.
Yeah, you got a good point.
And
human capital.
And when you in your line of work, you have to have 10, 20, 100 times more energy and more passion than they do, so you can push them through.
Yeah, sure.
That because it's just so easy to give up.
Yeah.
It's so easy to quit.
Yeah.
And it's just so darn easy.
Yeah. And in order not to help people give up, so I know as we wrap up, it's easy to give up. Everybody wants to be successful. So I'm gonna say that again.
Yeah.
Dr. Umar said you got to say things 3 times so they remember. All right. So it's easy to give up, but everybody want to be successful. It's easy to give up, but everybody wants to be successful.
I love it.
You yourself, I seen in your TED talk, you have some success principles. Do you remember your success principle? I want to put you on the spot. Do you remember? I got to write it down. If you don't remember, I can give it to you.
What do you want? How much do you want it? What are you willing to give up in order to have it? Right? What do you want? How much you want it? What are you willing to give up in order to have it? Then you gotta have passion. If you don't have passion, you're never going to be able to get anything. So many people have give up because they cannot find a true passion. Right? And one of the most important things that we always forget is that life is a process. The law of process, right? And what I talk in my TEDx talk is an oak tree doesn't become an oak just because, right? That acorn needs to suffer rain, it has to suffer droughts have to suffer being stepped on. That acorn to become an oak tree has to go through some crap.
Sure.
Right? And it's not going to grow and become an oak just because he has passion. He has to go through that process.
Yeah.
Of actually becoming something.
That process, man. I love it, man. As we were, man, clap it up, man. I think we need to clap it up. We need a hand clap, man. We got okay Warriors out fire, man. Hey, I appreciate you for coming, brother. It means a lot to have you. You dropped a lot of gems. For everybody watching this, man, what I want you to do, I want you to drop in the description right now or the comment section. What's your favorite thing you say? They gave out so many gems today. I know you need a notepad to take up this knowledge that hasn't been given today, but make sure you drop it in the comments. And just I want to say, you got anything for us, man? You know I'm going to do my spiel. You got anything for us spinning it off?
I mean, that was more of a sitting and learning and just, you yourself right now as a motivational speaker. If, you just been, because you did give off game, that others should be able to take from this. And truly, that's what I say, go back to the beginning and you'll definitely start from the dirt, living in the house with the dirt to where you are now.
If you do not have an idea of what you are, who you are, or where you want to be, it is not the end. You just need to find it, right? You need to find that passion, and we all have that passion.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody tries to take that passion away from us.
Yeah.
Nowadays, everybody tries to take that passion away from us. But once we find it, just go for it. Doesn't matter what it is, and doesn't matter what you have to sacrifice, right? You have to do a lot of sacrifice to get to be where you really want to be, and just do it.
Man, you got me thinking another question. Keep talking. I'll think more question. All right, this is really my last one. All right, so I when we think of dreaming big, I always dream big, and I share this to our boys because I try to get them in that same mindset. You have to dream big, like you have to think.
But what does that mean? No one tells you what that means.
Nobody tell you what it means. And I, you know what I tell them? I say when I die, I want to help so many people that they want to build a statue of him.
Yeah.
Like they say, I'm going to put a statue of him in Ocala, Florida, because that's as much impact as he's made.
Amen.
For yourself, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to change the industry. I want to change my industry, and I want to make sure that there are no more veterinary suicides. I want to make sure veterinarians, no other veterinarian commits suicide. I want to make sure no other veterinarians get into alcohol. I want to make sure no other veterinarian live a poor life.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, man, I'm going to get out of here. I know I'm going to keep saying I'm going to get going. All right, but make sure what you're doing. Like, subscribe, and comment. I know not a lot of people are going to come in through watching the channel. Again, we need at least about 20 of you to like this channel, to help us get to our goal. Subscribe to the channel to help us get to our goal. But we greatly appreciate. Great episode. Every time you come on this platform, all right, there's a lot of people that entertain and a lot of people seek entertainment. You come here, you will be educated. All right, we're going to give you the education you need to move your feet and get out of your seat and make something happen in your life. All right, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Again, shirts are on sale. Black History Month shirts. I'm going to put the link in the description where you can get these limited edition Black History Month shirts. You'll be the one to wear it and look good as me. All right. Last thing, I'm gonna switch it up to you. You're gonna look in that camera, or you can tell them where to find, however you want to tell them. But we need some words of inspiration. All right, there's a world full of people.
That's right.
That are suffering, that are hurting, that just need something. And whatever you can, if you were put on a stand and you were given the task, whatever you say next is gonna help the world, or it's for the world, and you're gonna disappear. Awesome. And what would you say to the people? And we're gonna close it like that.
I want to say that you are you. Your energy. You can do whatever you want, and the energy that you put in the world is gonna give it back to you. You put positive energy, you're gonna get positive energy. If you put negative energy, you're gonna get negative energy. So it's your choice what energy you're gonna put out. I know which one I'm putting out, and these guys are putting out. So be energy, be great, and don't let anybody else tell you otherwise.
I love it. Hey, and we'll see y'all next week.